when BlackRock submitted their application, June 15th last year, I was like, okay, it's over. It's happening. There will be an approval. I even gave a date, right? I said it was going to be, January 8th, and I was off by 2 days, so sue me. But I said, this is going to happen. And why was I so sure? Well, once BlackRock said, yep, we're in, and they and others who really don't want this to happen, meaning what's this? This meaning the creation of a new financial system based on blockchain. They don't really want that because they like the rent taking that they have. But bottom line, once they said we're in. Now, why did that matter? Because once January rolled around, there's 30 trillion-ish, call it for a round number, 30 trillion of boomer assets, mostly boomer assets, controlled by financial advisors, okay? When those financial advisors got the memo that they had to get off zero, right? They had to get off zero. 10 basis points. That's 30 billion bucks. Okay? 30 billion bucks would have an impact on the price of Bitcoin. But 1%, which is not even a crazy number, 1% is 300 billion. 300 billion is more money than has ever been, more currency, more fiat, than has ever been converted into Bitcoin in the first 15 years of its life. People say, no, it's $1 trillion asset. I said, yeah, but $1 trillion has not gone in.
Right.
Only a couple hundred billion have actually converted into Bitcoin. Okay. The rest is bid-ask spread and appreciation and network increase, Metcalfe's law increase. So if you add 300 billion to an asset that hasn't had 300 billion go in, big moves were going to happen. And so, but your point about, well, which institutions were also going to come in, look, my whole life was about institutional investing. I worked for two big allocators. I was paid to give money to these firms. I mean, all the people that everybody talks about now, Druckenmiller. I had money with Stan Druckenmiller when he was at Soros, when he left Soros, when he ran Duquesne, and Howard Marks. And in the news, I was one of the I and we were one of the first investors with Howard when he spun out of Trust Company of the West. So I'm just old. I've been around a long time, and I've allocated these people, so I know, one, how much capital they have, two, how forward-looking they are, and three, the type of liquidity they need in order to put their capital to work. Because we're talking billions, not, thousands or millions. And so once there was this platform, BlackRock et al., because once they approved all of them, now we're talking real money is going to come in. And Coinbase, gets adopted and is very stable. And so all of these things start to happen. And then the one that no one's even talking about is they put a little rule in at the very end where you had to have, I don't know what they call it, an authorized participant, an AP. I can't remember what AP stands for, but it's basically you have to have somebody legitimate stand behind you if you want to be an issuer. And JP Morgan said, yeah, we'll do it. Like, didn't your CEO say this was like a Ponzi scheme? So why are you willing to help with custody and transactions? And so once all of that happened, it was absolutely positively going to be fund after fund after fund. Right now, I think we've had, the last I looked, it was 50 billion. Maybe it was 60. I think it was 60 billion. 60 billion of inflows into the ETFs and maybe 10 billion of outflows from GBTC. So it was like net 50. So AUM had gone to 50 billion. Well, 50 billion is 1/6 of the number that I thought would happen in the first year. Okay, so we're a little behind schedule. I thought we'd be at 150, about 120 billion by now. So we're a little bit behind schedule. And I do think that it's already happened, right? Because those 13Fs are 45 days old. So in the last 45 days, a whole bunch more has come in. And every day that we keep making higher lows and higher highs, there's going to be more accumulation. And, we just had the first red dot on plan B, right? So the red dots are the parabolic move time. And so the next 12 months, look, I think the next 12 months are going to be truly spectacular, like truly spectacular.
And driven by this demand?
Just all demand. Yeah, all demand. The supply shock happened. And so fair value was in the low 50s. I round down to 50. And what a halving does is it doubles the fair value. Well, why? Like, because
it had the supply.
The miners would go out of business if the price didn't increase. So now it's a little different this time because of ordinals and runes and the high transaction fees. So let's say it's not double this time. Let's say it's 80. Okay, so that's a fair value number. Now here's an interesting thing. If you look at Tim Peterson's Metcalfe's Law model, it says fair value is about 80. If you look at Charles Edwards' model that's based on conversion of electricity to value, so it's a power consumption based on hash rate, says 80. That's interesting. I have this rule. If I hear it once, I remember it. If I hear it twice, I write it down. If I hear it 3 times, I do something about it. So let's say that we got 3 independent, theories that all come up with the same fair value, 80K. So we're still below fair value today at 66. So we're going to accrete to fair value. Well, then what's going to happen? Well, then the FOMO is going to start to kick in because people are going to see, and look, I said it on a couple of times, this Thanksgiving is going to be the best Thanksgiving in the history of Thanksgivings. I mean, maybe the first one was pretty good too, but this one's going to be amazing because the last few have sucked because, you're that guy that's crypto and you're kind of welcome, but you're not really welcome. And depending on when people took your advice or didn't take your advice, this one, everyone's going to love all of us because price is going to be probably touching, 6 digits. Everyone's going to be talking about it. It's going to be everywhere. Every institution's going to own it. Every financial advisor is going to have given in. Even Vanguard's going to have given in. And look, this, and then you get the final parabolic move through April of next year where, do we hit 150? Do we hit 1? I don't really care. But what I really care about is everyone. And I literally mean everyone, not just American, but everyone globally, getting a wallet, understanding how to own some, opening an account with one of the exchanges around. We've invested in a bunch of them in different places, Latin America, Eastern Europe, Asia, the Coinbase equivalent. Understanding that this is the greatest savings technology.
There you go.
In mankind, right? And people say, when should you sell your Bitcoin? Like, well, when do you sell your savings? Big payment for a house, big payment for college, big payment for starting a business, lending money to somebody. I don't know.